Okay, so today's module, Hare Krishna, everyone, um, is on Vaishnav etiquette and culture. Right, so this is the module 4 in the Bhakti Jumpstart course. And what we will be learning here is what is Vaishnav etiquette and culture? Why is it important? How do we maintain appropriate relationships with devotees and basic elements of Vaishnav etiquette and culture? Okay. So Guru Maharaj has a video on this. This was a disciple Sangha that was done in 2021, where he talks about Vaishnav etiquette. We haven't had uh, these kinds of Vaishnav Sanghas in a while now. I know our team is working to get organized, but hopefully sometime soon it will happen. But yeah, this was the one where Guru Maharaj talked about the importance of Vaishnav etiquette and how we need to move with with that. And so you can watch it. It's about an hour long.
This
And then,
should be has done in a COVID time, I think, Prabhuji.
right, yes, no, but after that also Guru Maharaj was doing these. I think we were planning to do like three at least a year.
Oh,
But we haven't because Maharaj is also traveling a lot. It has been hard to find times to get on his schedule. Yeah.
that's so true.
Yeah. Anyways, let's see. So, what is Vaishnav etiquette and culture? So, the definition of etiquette, as you know, Guru Maharaj always likes to talk about, going to the roots of the words and their meaning, right? And so, this is how culture and etiquette is defined here. We should understand that. Etiquette comes from the French word, and basically it's the prescribed behavior or the conduct or procedure required by good breeding or prescribed by authority to be observed in social or official life. It is the customary code of polite behavior in society or among members of a particular profession or group. So generally speaking, it is a norm, right, that we have to follow with that. So the people have that we basically would like to follow certain set of rules and norms in society to be congenial and have some appropriate relationships with each other, right? So that's basically what is etiquette. And then culture is basically learning and taste, the intellectual side of civilization. So, collective customs, rituals, and achievements of people of particular form of collective intellectual development. So, this is a set of shared attitudes, values, goals, and practices that are characteristic for one particular institution, one organization, one religion, one culture, right? So, basically how there are certain values and attitudes that are prevalent for that specific culture with that, yeah. So that's the etiquette and culture. And so similarly, like how we have etiquette and culture for various religions, various organizations or institution, there is a culture in the Vaishnav society as well. And so that is what we'll be learning today. That right. So why should we follow this etiquette? Because we are materially conditioned, yet we are trying to navigate spiritual living. And the main thing here is that we as we talked about in module 2, that we are conditioned souls and we have defects of the conditioned soul, right? So we tend to envy and we also um, have these anarthas, right, within us. And so in order to avoid or minimize making mistakes and minimizing the anarthas, these etiquette and culture, the Vaishnav etiquette and culture, help us to overcome those anarthas and also minimize the conditioning of from the material world with that, right? That, and so that's the main essence on this slide, that like we need a compass or a map to guide us. Similarly, these Vaishnav etiquette and culture help us to navigate the process of bhakti. So we are following these and are removing or minimizing the anarthas and the conditioning of our material, of our soul with that, right? So why should we follow etiquette? We, as we talked about, etiquette uh, help us to become humility, provide us a sense of humility, and it allows us to minimize these anarthas and make offenses towards other devotees and everyone else. And so we can continue the process of bhakti in the right mood. So these are some of the main characteristics, like we're talking about qualities that are reinforced with etiquette: respect, humility, tolerance, simple living, high thinking. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna, and follow in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. So, when we have talked about this again, even in previous modules, but this is where it is getting consolidated, that where is this coming from and why is it important? That etiquette preserves truthfulness, self-control, and kindness. That there's a lot of discussion that we'll have. So yeah, this is the first slide, which is a very heavy slide, and basically, as you are aspiring now from Guru Maharaj, the position of aspiring means we must cultivate these 26 qualities, following the culture and etiquette of the Vaishnavas. That, and so there are these 26 qualities that we are asked to follow as much as we can. That be kind to everyone, doesn't make envy with anyone, truthful, equal to everyone, no one can find any fault in him, magnanimous, mild, always clean, without possessions, work for everyone's benefit, peaceful, always surrender to Krishna, has no material desires, very meek, steady, control his senses, does not eat more than required, not influenced by the Lord's illusory energy, offers respect to everyone, does not desire any respect for himself, is very grave, merciful, friendly, poetic, expert, and silent. So this is a huge list, right? That, of course, it is challenging for us to follow these, and we try, right? Every day is a new day, and we try. But of course, our anarthas and the conditioning from the modes of the material nature, they come in our way and they distract us with that, right? Yeah. But it's just a reminder that there is these qualities, that huge list of qualities that is given to us by our acharyas, that we should be following with that, right? Yeah. Okay. Any questions so far? Yes, Mataji, go ahead.
Prabhu, they have listed 26 qualities, Prabhu. It is really, really difficult to adhere to and follow.
I
And I
know.
don't understand what is grave meaning.
Grave means uh grave.
Sadness?
No, 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 not sad. I think grave means serious. Let's just Google meaning. Okay. Something serious. Yep. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Mm.
Yeah. So serious as in like that you're taking this thing seriously, right? That yes, it is very hard to do this. Like for example, no material desires, right? We hear that in so many lectures, right? But we still have to live our material life, right? And we've talked about how we can um, use those material desires in purifying us in Krishna, purifying our consciousness through activities involving with Krishna consciousness. Is that right? So I think when we think about this tall list, what happens is we are looking at the ideal situation, right? With that. But we have to understand that this is on a continuum with that, right? So think about where you were 10 years ago or 20 years ago with that, right? And it is for everyone, right? Everyone has that reference, right? That, oh, when depending on when you came into Krishna consciousness or when you first heard of this and now where you are with that, right? So that's how I would think about these. So that it's not a switch, right? Where you turned off everything and all your material desires are gone with that, right? And so you have to think about that where I was before coming to Krishna consciousness and where am I right now? What is the measurement, right? What is the ruler? Am I moving in the direction which is coming closer to these course 26 qualities with that, right? Yeah. Does that make sense, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu. Maybe we have quarter or 1/10 of that. 5 qualities, maybe.
That's okay. It will
We
come.
have to improve on that.
Go ahead, Anuradha Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I heard somewhere sometimes it will take maybe decades, but it is counting that you take a step to practice to have all these qualities, so that will count. So it won't go vain. So
Yes.
still it
Yep.
is okay.
Yep. I know. Krishna is looking at our effort, right? Yes, we know what is the ideal. But yeah, and it's not like a switch. It's not going to happen tomorrow. I'll tell you today, okay, all of you practice all these 26 qualities from the minute we end this class. That's not happening with that. But having this constant reminder, if we keep hearing about these, automatically it starts purifying us with that, right? It's at the back of our mind with that, yeah. So even though when we go against it, then you're like, oh no, I read about it. Maybe let me try 1% of that. Yeah, right. Or it becomes awareness is the first and most important thing with that, right? Being aware, if you are aware, half the battle is won with that, right? So next time when we do that, you again become aware and constantly becoming aware and aware and aware that is what actually would help us to, get closer to these qualities with that. Yeah. That so okay. So importance of Vaishnav etiquette and culture. Um, so Hari Bhakti Vilas talks about since nothing can be useful without sadachar or etiquette, every action should be performed with proper etiquette. Proper etiquette purifies the heart and consciousness. Practicing etiquette is action in the mode of goodness, and a devotee's advancement can be seen by how humble one is, how well one behaves, and how disciplined and cultivated one is. Is that right? So, now there are multiple quotes here. We won't go in a lot of details of that, but read the main line here. So these are coming, all of them are coming, or majority of them are coming from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Here, the main punchline, or the essence is maintenance of the Vaishnava etiquette is the ornament of a devotee with that, right? So we can clearly tell um, how one behaves in a situation, especially when it's a confrontational situation, right? With that, how people react. And if they are poised, they're calm and they're contented and they're grave, they have their control over their senses and their mind and their tongue. You can see how they react versus somebody who is impulsive and have minimal control of their senses and tongue with that, right? So there is an obvious difference. And so that if somebody sees that, a third person who is not even involved in that confrontation and is a passive observer from the side, they can very well see. And once they see that, they want to emulate that person, or they want to mimic that person, right? And so that's why it is called that Vaishnava etiquette is the ornament of that devotee with that. So everybody's like, I want to be like that person. Look how he handled the situation despite the other person was like yelling at them or throwing things at them and calling them names and abusing them, still that person he did the right thing. That right? Yeah. So, okay, etiquette is the pillar of your spiritual practice. So again, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed the six Goswamis to establish the proper devotee etiquette. And they were the ones who formed these. So it is coming from our acharyas, and as we mentioned earlier, that following this helps us to get serious and better in our spiritual practice. So it is the pillar of our spiritual practice. This one says that if one transgresses the law of etiquette, people make fun of him, and thus he is vanquished in both his world, in this world and the next world. With that, right? And by observing the etiquette, so as I mentioned in that situation, when somebody doesn't follow etiquette, he is ridiculed by others, right, who are watching, and like he's not following the norm with that. And by observing the etiquette, you have satisfied the mind, my mind. Who else but you could show this example? So again, Krishna himself, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is telling that by observing this etiquette, you have satisfied his mind. That right? And then you're leading by example. That the primary practice of spiritual life, humility is the foundation. That right? Step out the center, place Krishna in the center. So this verse from Shikshashtakam is glorified every time when we hear the word humility. With that, right? So here, string this verse on the thread of the holy name and wear it on your neck for continuous remembrance. So Tadradapi Sunichena, Tarorapi Sahishnuna, Amanina Manadena, Kirtaniya Sadahari. With that, right? And so be humble in a blade of grass. That, right? And so it is the humility aspect with that. Envy is the enemy with it is the opposite of prema. In this age of Kali, we must guard against the 10 offenses and particularly avoid anger and envy, the fire that ignites the quarrel. The beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, a devotee has been described as Nirmat Sharanam, of the 100% pure in heart or non-envious. With that, right? So envy is very common. It's one of the anarthas, right? We see as part of the defects of the conditioning that has happened. It is challenging, of course, that somebody is doing better in our profession, and we're like, yes, I will get these feelings of envy, right? It is natural because it is the conditioning with that, right? However, knowing the essence of Bhagavad Gita, that I am getting what I'm supposed to get at this time based on my karma with that, right? So having that higher knowledge is what I have realized that helps me at least with that, right? Okay, yeah, there is a lot of success with the other person that's there, but I might be successful in another area with that, right? And then if I am desiring for that success, it is not the right time, and maybe it'll come or it may never come with that, right? But I have to continue trying if I really want that, and if it is in Lord's mercy, I will get it. It's in the will of the Lord with that, right? And so I think knowing that basically helps us calm ourselves down, and we still get these feelings of envy, but at least it helps us to rationalize with that. I would like to hear your thoughts. Anybody has had any experience with this, and how did you manage this? How do you manage this situation?
Prabhuji, are we talking about envy now?
Mm-hmm. When do
Because
you get envy? When do we
yes,
get
it
envy?
always comes up, Prabhu. But as being a Krishna conscious person, we just, I guess, by rationalizing everything, he said it is not appropriate behavior. That's what we say. We are much older now. Maybe in the younger ages, we were, we always worried about somebody who is better than us, competitive.
Mm-hmm.
But now we learned that we are getting old. There is not enough time to get envious of others. And we know what will happen if we are envious. Envious, you cannot get a great bhakti.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we minimize by rationalizing or logically thinking that it is not good for you.
Yes. Anyone else? Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandot Pranams.
Sandavan Pranam. Welcome, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Sorry, I joined 5-10 minutes late. I was stuck in another call.
No worries.
So as far as the envy, Prabhuji, my personal experience and what we have heard and how we can apply it is that first thing when you hear some good things about others, oh, I'm being very honest, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I understood what is envy mean. Like, oh, see, they got this. That means immediately you're thinking why we didn't get. That is one.
Yes.
That is, but immediately that same thought, Krishna, thank you. You helped them. No comparison. No comparison. We should just be feel happy, like how people who are with the advanced mind, how they would
Mm-hmm.
look at it. So that an inch, a pinch, even though we are not envious of them that why they got, why not me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I going through these difficulties? When you hear those things do come, but immediately how you correct yourself is the realization that we have understood from Krishna consciousness.
Yes, very true. Yes, yeah. And it is may not be the right time, right? It will come, but it may happen at a later time, right? With that, yeah, with that. And so, thank you. Yes, go ahead, Vatsala Mataji.
Prabhu, we had a beautiful class, Sabda Praman class, only for ladies. There were like 100 students or 100 of us joining. There were young 12-year-old girl
Uh-huh.
and an 86-year-old lady. So we
Hmm.
had all kinds of people taking that course, and it is expected to have 80% attendance.
Hmm.
It was beautiful. We learned that Vedas are the non-defective sabda, but at that time, the lady who taught that course, it is really a remarkable and outstanding job. She was very patient and distributed the knowledge. She could speak three languages: Telugu, Hindi, as well as English. And
Mm-hmm.
she distributed the knowledge to equally to everybody. When somebody asks a question, she will do it three times. Four times, she will start explaining the same process in a same question over and over. I think I admire her a lot, for her capacity. She's younger, like maybe 45. I appreciated her quality, how how she ended up saying what she wanted to say
Mm-hmm.
without going overtime. For 10 days, we were really consciously into Krishna consciousness, reading
Hmm.
about Shabda Praman. It is a very interesting, very, Krishna conscious work. Talks about Srimad Bhagavatam, all that.
Is that online you attended?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, she is from Philadelphia, and
Ah.
she has done service at New Vrindavan,
Mm-hmm.
and like at 20 years she has been there. She has four kids and all, but she is so good, very smiling. Every time you ask her a question, she will always smile. She never gets upset about anything, and answers everything beautifully. That is the thing. I said, "Oh my God, look at this person." We want to ascribe, we want to get some kind of qualities like that from her, being
Yes.
patient,
See, that's what I'm
smiling,
saying. You
listening.
watch as an observer, when you watch
Yes,
these people, you're like, wow, I want to emulate them, right?
yes. There was no envy in it. We
Yes.
loved her. We loved her class. I said, please have more Bhakti Shastra course or more courses like that. It was
Mhm.
so interesting. 100 people attended. Can you imagine? All
Yeah.
ladies.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Amazing.
that's
Yeah.
what I said. There is no envy in it. We appreciated the ladies who
Yep.
did the class and everybody who participated in it. Very nice.
Thank you. All right, let's keep moving. Now, the next part is appropriate relationship with devotees. This is a very touchy topic, right? And we have had some discussions about this in our previous lectures as well, sessions. And so let's read this. Generally, among ISKCON devotees, a position of seniority is determined by Diksha, but other factors may take precedence depending on the circumstances. If a younger devotee has a position of authority over an older devotee, he must instruct the older devotee, but still he must do with due respect regarding the older devotee's seniority by initiation. Age is another factor. An older person who is new to Krishna consciousness must still be offered due respect because of his age, even if a younger devotee is senior by initiation. That right? So there's this fine line between age and seniority, and both parties need to understand that why that is happening with this, right? And so I'll give you an example for this one. So my father-in-law, of course, he's much older than me, right? But I'm initiated. So whenever it is his anniversary and his birthday, and I wish him, and he tells me like, "Thank you so much, Prabhu ji, for wishing me, and I really need your like your blessings." And I'm like, "You are much older than me." Like, I mean, in Indian culture, we call my father-in-law as my father also, right? As you know. So, and he'll be like, "No, no, no, but you are initiated." And I said, "No, no, no, you are much older to me." So we keep joking about this. So this is like a perfect example of like how the balance has to be maintained between both of them, is that right? And this is a nice example here on this slide that Shukadev Goswami, when he arrived at the bank of the Ganges where Maharaj Parikshit was seated among all the sages from all over the universe, the sages were trying to determine who was the most qualified to speak to Maharaj Parikshit. Sukadev was only 16. He was probably the most junior or the youngest person there. But all the sages unanimously chose him even above his own father Vyasa because of his superior spiritual realization. So there is a hierarchy in spiritual realization as well with that, right? So whoever has the highest understanding or is practicing to the highest level, they are the senior with that, even though their age might be lower, but the person who is younger needs to make sure that they are respecting that, right? Yeah. Okay, so respectfully relating to devotees, dealing with the spiritual master. So there's all these five aspects. So we go over one of each of them. So dealing with the spiritual master, dealing with the spiritual master's god siblings, dealing with seniors, dealing with your god siblings, and then dealing with juniors. Then. So let's talk first about dealing with the spiritual master. So one should humbly oneself submissively and render service to the spiritual master. One should take the orders of the Guru as one's life and soul. In the presence of Guru, one should not instruct others without receiving his permission. In the presence of Guru, one should not take one's own disciples. One should simply obey the instruction of the Guru and should not question. We should not disobey the instruction thinking that we know his inner feelings. One should never instruct one's own Guru. One should never argue with one's spiritual master. One should never present one's qualification to the Guru and always remain in a very humble position. One should never sit on the same level as the spiritual master unless they receive the permission. One should stand when his or her guru enters the room and then proceed with offering obeisances. Just like Lord Krishna is non-different than his name or picture, similarly, there's no difference between the spiritual master and his name and his picture. Hence, one should keep pictures of Guru and Krishna in the proper place. So another thing here is whenever we see Guru Maharaj, if you all have received the pranam mantra, when you see him, you should bow down and speak the pranam mantra in your mind, or you can even chant louder if not many people are around you so he can listen. Um, but that's another etiquette that we have to practice. So you know this, we address Guru Maharaj as Guru Maharaj or Guru Dev, both are fine. Maharaj is a generic term, so we don't usually just use that. And for his wife, Nirukala Mataji, we address her with Guru Ma. But so that's the part of how do we deal with the spiritual master with Guru Maharaj. The next one is about spiritual masters, God siblings. They should be respected and honored as one respects their spiritual master as well. So again, same things apply here, that you should be respecting them in the same way. Dealing with the seniors within Vaishnava tradition, it is an important expression of our humility to respect those who are in the senior most position. One spiritual master, then the sannyasis, then the devotees who have accepted Brahman Diksha, then the ones who have accepted the Harinam Diksha, the first initiation. One should not instruct another person in the presence of a senior Vaishnava without first receiving permission, and one should offer obeisances to seniors. Go ahead, Vatsala Mataji.
Prabhuji, when we meet our God siblings, right? But sometimes normally we don't, even when we see them, nobody offer respects to each other. I mean, aren't we supposed to do that? Or do we fall at, when I see a big Srila Prabhupada's devotee, do I fall at their feet, or lady should not fall at their feet? This is the question I have for a long time.
Yes, it is going to come here. Let's
Okay.
keep going. These are all
Okay.
added in this module. Yes, yeah.
Thank you.
So dealings with God's siblings. God's siblings should use the appropriate term of respect with one another. So Prabhu means master, Mataji means mother, Devi, goddess, Prabhavi, feminine form of Prabhu. It's not commonly used. So generally Matajis and Prabhus is what we are typically calling each, depending on the gender. So again, when we meet a God sibling, basically we are the servants of our God siblings, and according to a particular level of God sibling, we must serve him or her accordingly. From our senior God siblings, inquire submissively, carry out their instructions, and aspire to be their servant. To those who are equal, serve them by encouraging them. And when we meet another God sibling, it is appropriate to bow down and offer prayer. The Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaham. So this is generally what is a standard practice. That right, when you see another God sibling, you bow down and you say this prayer to each other. That right. Guard against the mood of familiarity breeds contempt. So so basically not taking each other granted with that, and always making sure that whenever you meet them, you are bowing towards them. I had when I just, as I was mentioning to Vatsala Mataji, I'm just returning from a trip from Saudi Arabia, Riyadh, and it was fascinating experience for me to see how the culture is like so strong and rooted in the society values of like love and religion there. So whenever two men, I mean, of course, with the women, the interaction is different, and I couldn't observe that as much because how they wear hijab and or niqab sometimes as well, the ladies. But with the men, whenever two men were meeting with each other, they would like hug each other, and then they would kiss on each other's lip 3 times. And while they're kissing each other, they were talking to each other, inquiring about how they're doing, how's their family, it's been a while, hope everything is good, and hope the Lord is keeping you well with that, right? I was amazed with that, right? And every time they met somebody, they would do that with that, right? And so which is exactly what, like, of course they're a different religion, but the idea is the same, right? That when you are meeting them, you're not taking them for granted with that, right? And in the same way, here is also we should be doing that. We should be bowing down to them and inquiring about them submissively and offering them respects with that, right? So our attitude should always be to remember we are able to do is simply due to the mercy of Guru and the Vaishnavas. If a god sibling is undergoing some difficulty, one must help. Devotee has strayed from devotional service and has not been in the association of devotees. He or she must not be chastised, but rather offered love, encouragement, and friendship. Yeah, if you chastise them, they're not coming back, right? So we're not going to go in details in this. Please read this on your own. Now let's talk about the dealings with juniors. Be respectful, compassionate, and tolerant. Set an example. Show affection and encouragement. Protect a junior's budding faith. This is very important, right? And so if you do something that is not looked upon, then that person is going to, you create an impression in their mind that, oh, it's allowed to do this with that, right? And so that's not what we want. Guide them according to Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Create a welcoming atmosphere for juniors to confide, share, and inquire, and retain a humble service mentality. Dealings with others. Dealing with ladies or women should be given all respect, particularly if she's a Vaishnavi. A brahmachari should see every woman as his mother, and grihastha should see every woman, except his wife, as his mother. A brahmachari should associate with women judicially as and only in the context of executing devotional service. Dealing with guests. When guests come to the temple or home, Vaishnava etiquette is to treat the guests with respect and love. Guests should be welcomed with sweet words, a seat, water, prasadam, according to one's own means. And dealing with non-devotees, we should wish them well, offer respect and enlightenment. We should not take their association by engaging in materialistic activities, avoid atheists, avoid openly judgmental behavior, or preaching to those who are not open to hearing. Right. So, yeah. This one is verse 5 from the Nectar of Instruction. It gives a hierarchy. One should mentally honor the devotee who chants the holy name of Lord Krishna. One should offer humble obeisances to the devotee who has undergone spiritual initiation, Diksha, and is engaged in worshipping the deity. And one should associate with and faithfully serve that pure devotee who is advanced in undeviated devotional service and whose heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. Following etiquette aids one's ability to surrender. That's right. So, because we're talking about humility, and once we follow this, we automatically comes in this mood of surrendering and submissiveness. Remember that mercy flows down. This is a very beautiful picture that's showing how Srila Prabhupada is giving beads at the initiation ceremony, appropriately relating with the devotees, reinforces the mood of humility as we aspire to become the servant of the servant. Pleasing the devotees should always be a priority. Our own spiritual advancement depends on it. That right. So the sixth nectar of instruction talks about the six loving exchanges. And these are offering gifts in charity, receiving gifts in charity, revealing one's mind in confidence, inquiring confidentiality, accepting prasadam, and offering prasadam. That. So, elements of Vaishnav etiquette and culture. Any questions so far?
I think you clarified something, Prabhu. Thank you.
Yes, I did. And the other
Thank
ones are coming here in this element, next one.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so basic temple etiquette. Here they are. How should you be offering obeisances in the temple? Upon entering, first offer obeisances. So Panchang Pranam and Ashtang Pranam, they're two different ones. To the assembled Vaishnava and utter the prayer Vanchakalpatarubhyascha, that one. Then offer of obeisances to Srila Prabhupada, keeping him on our left, and chant his pranam mantra. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Dinamine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshtarani. Then move to the deities and offer obeisances, keeping the deities on our left side and chant their respective pranam mantras. Or you can raise both your hands and call the name of the deities. Jai Shri Shri Krishna Balaram ki jai, or Jai Shri Shri Radha Govinda Dev ki jai, something like that. Both hands should support the body while bowing down, and both hands should be outstretched with that. While offering obeisances, first recite your own spiritual master's pranam mantra. If you have received it, then Srila Prabhupada, and then the pranam mantras for the deities on the altar. So this is also done when we at the end of the Prema Dhvani, which is the Aarti, after the Aarti ceremony, we say like Srila Prabhupada ki jai with that, and then you also say your Guru Maharaj's mantra, then Srila Prabhupada mantra, that right? That. Go ahead, Anuradha Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So if our Guru Maharaj is in the temple with devotees, assembled devotees and Prabhupada and then deities, so that time to whom we should offer obeisances first.
To Guru Maharaj.
And
then Srila Prabhupada, and then to the deities.
How about the assembled devotees, Prabhuji?
Well, yes. So you are going to, as you are basically the assembled devotees, you can offer obeisances. And then I think as soon as you enter the temple, right, it's like there's the bell that you knock on the door or make some sound, right, on the temple. You bow down right there with that, and then you can say the Vanchakalpatarubhishta. So that can cover the assembled devotees with that. Then you see Guru Maharaj and you bow down to him, and you can say his pranam mantra at that time with that. Okay. And then go to Srila Prabhupada, and then to the deities.
Sure, Prabhuji. That helps. Thank you so much.
So, Vatsala Mataji, go ahead.
Prabhuji, I thought when we go into the temple, we are not supposed to do our obeisances to anybody except Prabhupada and Krishna. Even some you don't do obeisances to your guru at that time when Prabhupada is there, right? Do we do that or no?
Well, if he's there, you have to do it, right? With that, yeah. If he's there, you should be bowing down to him.
And then to Srila Prabhupada?
And to Prabhupada, yes. Yes.
Okay, and the deities, right?
And the deities. And then, to Srila Prabhupada and the deities on your left side with that, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then so one thing also to note here is sometimes, the altar position is that way that you, and Srila Prabhupada, the way his altar is positioned in the temple room is, you need to make sure that you're not pointing your feet towards him when you're bending down to the deities, keeping them on your left. It's also important you're not pointing your feet to Srila Prabhupada. So just be mindful of that, right?
Okay. Okay, yeah. Thank you, Prabhu.
And Anuradha Mata, do you have something else? Okay. And so you see here Ashtang Pranam and Panchang Pranam. So Ashtang Pranam is this Dandavats, right? The whole complete bowing down, offering obeisances with 8 angas: feet, knees, chest, hands, head, sight, mind, and words. And so this is typically, I haven't seen women doing this. Women are doing this, Panchang Pranam. And these two are the acceptable ways. If you have the beads in your hand, you're going to put them in your hand, your bead bag. Otherwise, you can do this. And so offering obeisances with 5 angas: knees, arms, head, intellect, and words. Chest doesn't touch the ground with that, right? And so that's a women is typically what we see is doing this with that. Okay. Okay, meditating upon the deity. After offering obeisances to the deities, one should take darshan with great devotion and beg for their mercy. The proper manner one should take darshan of the Lord is described here in this verse, and begin at the lotus feet of the Lord and then progress to his smiling face. This is also the same method during the Kartik month, when we offer the lamp, right? or even in Aarti, when you see the priest or a pujari doing an Aarti in the temple, or if you are doing it as well, you start with the feet, right? And then you go to the belly, and then you go to the head, and then you do overall with that. So the same manner that you should take darshan also by looking at the feet first, and then taking your glance up gradually. That okay. Sitting. These are the two most acceptable ways. These are not ideal with that, right? But sometimes, yes, I agree. We do that, including me. It becomes like when you're sitting for a long time, you're trying to adjust your posture, but just be a little mindful of that, or go in a seat and then you can sit on a chair with that. One should not expose one's feet to the deities or point them at the spiritual master, Tulsi Devi. The feet should always be covered. Yeah. So when with the sari, or I mean, generally for women, they are covered. But for men, we are exposed to cover the feet with the dhoti. One should, as far as possible, avoid sitting with one's back to the deities or the Vyasasana. Again, but depending on the layout of the temple, it may be challenging sometimes. One should not spread one's legs before the deities. One should not sit before the deities holding one's ankles, elbows, or knees, and one should not fall asleep while sitting before the deities. Okay, speech. General guidance on speech. Devotees should avoid speech that offends, particularly blasphemy of devotees, which we already know as the first offense, right, to the holy name. Vaishnava Parad. Srila Rupa Goswami advocates the process of Krishna Katha, talk to all subjects connected to Lord Krishna to counteract the urge to speak. And before we speak, we should consider, is it necessary, is it kind, or is it right? Then there is a whole list of what we should be doing and we should not be doing in speaking before the deity. So basically, not telling a lie, not speaking loud, not quarreling or howling or crying, that right? And not speaking harshly to others before the deity. And no one should not deride the demigods before the deity. So in recently there was a class at ISV, I think last week or the week before, I was when Guru Maharaj, somebody asked them a question about demigod worship, that right? So Devi Devta. And so Guru Maharaj very nicely pointed out that you can worship them. It just depends on your understanding and consciousness with that, right? So making sure that they are not, you can place devis and devtas or demigods in the altar, but their position should be lower than what the Krishna's or Murti is there, right? And so making sure, and then as you're offering, you offer first to Krishna with that, and automatically it gets offered to the demigods and that, right? And so there are certain nuances that one should be, so it's not like an all or none, right? Okay, you don't do this, you only do this and that, but we need to have a proper understanding of placing every and not deriding the demigods, right? And so making sure that their um, sthan or place is the prescribed one based on the Shastra with that, right? Yeah. Go ahead, Anuradha Mataji.
Prabhuji, there is, could you please go to the previous slide?
Okay.
They said like one should not cry. Of course, we don't do howl and all, but sometimes when when you are emotionalized, so automatically sometimes the tears will come. So,
Yes, that's acceptable, right? I mean, see, Krishna, we have to share our heart with Krishna, and when we are in some trouble, we have to show, right, with that. Yes, and it's a fine. I think when they're talking about crying is like, there is crying aspect of sharing your emotion and begging Krishna for mercy and for help to get us out of that situation with that, right? So that's different than actual other crying part with that, right? Yeah. So there's a subtle difference with that.
okay.
Yes, yes. I think Avatsala Mataji, you had the same question, right? Yeah.
Yes, Prabhuji, but tears come automatically sometimes.
That
Okay,
that
when
is
you are
good.
involved.
That is good. Yes, because see, that is what is. So we talked about the 9 stages of bhakti, right? So this is one of the as someone is getting closer and closer and getting more realization of Krishna, with that they are progressing. So getting tears automatic is a good thing with that. You should not stop that with that, right? And think it's your realization that Krishna is everything and I am nobody with that, right? And then but like vehemently crying is a different thing with that, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's what, so because it says also howl, right? And so that is in that context we have to take that word of crying here. It's not about like, okay, yes, when we are miserable in a situation, we cry, right, with that, and we are seeking for help. That is one thing. But the other one is this bhava that you're describing, that, oh, as I'm seeing the deity, automatically tears come in my eyes. It's because of my appreciation and my love to Krishna with that. That's what Krishna wants, that, right? And so it is perfectly fine. Don't stop that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but sometimes when we are doing that, sometimes, automatically we get up and dance. Sometimes we don't
Mhm.
know what is happening. That is
Yes,
a problem.
that's also nice. See, that is, so those are all the subtle parts of it, right? So as we progress from the different stages of bhakti, from faith to Krishna prema, these are the part of that. These are happening in between with it.
Yeah,
So
we don't actually make it. Some people may think, why they ask you questions. We don't know what is happening ourselves. So we cannot
exactly.
tell anybody what is happening to us. So,
Yes. Yes, yes. Well, if somebody asks you, no one is going to tell you or penalize you for doing that, right? With that, but it's going to be mostly that people, especially those who are new and they have not had that exposure or experience is the right word at yet. They may ask you, "Oh, I just saw you got up and you started dancing, and then you had tears in your eyes while with that, right?" Yes, how do you explain that, right? That's a tricky thing to explain because it's one thing that somebody has not experienced, but how do you explain it with that, right? So it's,
yeah,
yeah,
it is a personal experience,
yes,
Prabhu. We cannot share whatever it is going on within
yeah.
ourselves with Paramatma. Whatever we are intensely thinking about, we cannot share that experience with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
sometimes I'm in an awkward position. Tell me what happened. What happened? I said, I don't know. I cannot explain the situation. I'm
Yes.
just leave me alone for half an hour or something. I'll be okay in a
Yeah.
mundane talk. But before that, I don't want to do mundane talk. So,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
fine. Yep, yep. So I think the easiest thing to do is at that point is like, instead of becoming defensive, we could just be in a situation, thank you for your concern. I would be fine. I'll be back in half an hour, or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I tell them I don't know. I cannot explain anything to you now because
yeah.
I don't know whatever it is going on. It's Krishna's mercy or something.
Mm,
It's not I am making it myself.
yes.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, let's keep going. The next thing is honoring Mahaprasad. So, flower garland and Charnamrit. So, one should not disrespect Mahaprasad by stepping on it or leaving it in an unclean place. Devotees accept Mahaprasad flower garlands by touching them to the head, wearing them, and smelling them. To avoid spillage, hold your left hand under your right hand when receiving Mahaprasad flowers, Tulsi or Charnamrita. Yes, hold the left hand under the right hand. Ghee lamp, offer respect to the lamp as it is the Lord's prasad. Um, Lamp is brought first to Srila Prabhupada, that he's the founder Acharya. So after the arti, they take it to Srila Prabhupada and then they distribute to others. Is that right? And then don't honor Mahaprasad in front of the deities. So even at home, if you have deities in the temple room, you could put like a a divider or a curtain, and like if your dining room is close by, make sure there is some demarcation with that. So don't keep um, the altar open at that time when you are honoring prasadam. Vaishnava appearance. Okay, now we have to talk about wearing tilak, which of course I'm not wearing today, but that's the next thing here. Urdhava Pundra means refer to the marks placed on one's body using Gopi Chandan. Urdhva Pundra indicates that one's body is a temple of Vishnu. There are 12 parts of the body while reciting different names of Vishnu with that, right? So, particularly when associating with one's guru or senior devotees, applying tilak is favorable. That so, after bathing and putting on clean clothes, sit on a purified asana and apply tilak on the 12 parts of the body. Try to avoid applying tilak in the bathroom. A nicely done tilak is neat and even. On the forehead, the center position between the two lines should be open from the eyebrows to the hairline, but should be joined at the bottom. The solid portion of tulsi may extend 3/4 of the way down the nose. So you can read this how to apply tilak. Then there are these 12 different places where we apply tilak: forearm, belly, chest, throat, right side of the waist, right upper arm, right shoulder, left side of the waist, left upper arm, left shoulder, upper back, and lower back. And as for each of them, you're saying a mantra each time you're applying this tilak. Then tilak designates one as a Vaishnava, and so people can at this immediately tell that, oh, okay, you are a Vaishnav, that who are familiar with that. Some hair and dress instructions that are given by Guru Maharaj for men should keep a shikha unless not permitted at their workplace. Shikha may be any length, but it should be kept tightly knotted and only untied when washing, cleaning, oiling, sleeping, attending funeral rites, or observing a period of mourning. It is okay if it is untied if it is too short. While tying your shikha after bathing, chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Keeping a style of dress that is in the mood of goodness, that identifies one as Vaishnava. Preaching work, one can adopt whatever dress is most appropriate, but it should be first class, neat and clean. Following Srila Prabhupada's standards, Guru Maharaj does not like his male disciples to keep long hair, beards, or excessive facial hair unless they are performing a very specific vrata like the Chaturmasya Vrat. Beards have become popular these days. This is a fashion statement, but it is not a style that Srila Prabhupada approved of, and so nor does the Guru Maharaj approves it. It is preferable for women to keep their hair tied. Devotees of Krishna wear tulsi neck beads. Tulsi beads worn around the neck indicate a devotee's surrender to the Lord. Krishna consciousness culture teaches that anyone who is an aspiring devotee of Krishna should wear tulsi neck beads, for tulsi is spiritually potent. Padma Puran states, regardless of whether one is in impure or pure state, one should always wear tulsi mala, and one should never take it off even when bathing, eating, or passing stool and urine. In other words, tulsi beads are always pure and purify anyone who contacts them. So I'm assuming all of you are wearing tulsi beads, right?
Yes, yes, Prabhuji.
Yes,
That yeah. So I think, yeah, the main distinction, I know it's like also main thing is like, for if you have not taken any shelter, so I think Anuradha Mataji dropped for some reason. Yeah, because she's joining again. So if you have not taken shelter yet, then one round. If you are aspiring, and your guru has accepted you, you've taken shelter, then it's 2 rounds of Tulsi Mala. And once you're initiated, then there are 3 rounds with that, right? So that's the general norm that typically is followed, that distinguishes as well with that, so anyone can see you and tell. So Three immediate, so this is the concluding thought. What's in it for you? Three immediate benefits realized when you become meticulous about Vaishnav etiquette. You relate better with others, you communicate better with others, and you learn better from others with that. So again, there's a whole list of documents and videos that you can watch per your convenience. And then we also have a module quiz and reflection statement, which we will do in 2 weeks. What would be the date? Today is 8th, right? So on 22nd of December, we will finish this module as well. All right. Any questions so far? Let me stop sharing. Go ahead, Vatsala Mataji.
How long will it take to finish those all full set of module? January?
Yes. Yeah.
So who should we report it to, Prabhu, if you did partially something? And who is in the team who knows about whereabouts? And if you have to fill in some information, do we do it by accessing to Fandas Park?
So I guess we are done with today's module. Yeah, we'll meet in 2 weeks and we'll attempt the quiz and the reflection questions. Everyone have a blessed and a happy Krishna conscious Sunday and the rest of the 2 weeks before we meet again. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai.
And
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna,
Prabhuji,
Thank you
everyone.
very much, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Prabhuji,
Hare
one
Krishna.
small question, Prabhuji.
Oh,
Next week,
yes.
the 2 weeks from now, since it's a holiday week, I won't be in town. I don't know where I will be, friends.
That's okay. We'll give
I'll
the
see.
recording. You can watch it.
I will try my best. I
Yeah,
just want to give a heads up.
sure.
Thank you,
No
Prabhuji.
worries. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thanks a lot, Prabhuji. Take care. Bye bye.
You too.